let me welcome you to the nonsense reality, the alternate reality of the Muslim Vikings once again. So the other day, as we were saying, we talked about the statements that the Vikings were not blonde, the Vikings were not Scandinavian, the Vikings were not pagan, I guess, at this point. So anyways, we talked about the nonsense, but how did they get to the nonsense is what we're going to explore today. But it will make you facepalm monumentally. It will make you facepalm because after you see, oh, so this is what they based all that nonsense on? Yes. Then, after we gather the information, you will see that when we read this other one, which is the one that has the message, the political message, then we'll be able to be like, oh, yeah, they're saying this, but now I know it's nonsense. And without further ado, let's go. For Allah inscription found on Viking era ring. When you purchase through links on our websites, we may earn an affiliate commission. Do I get the ring? It is a pretty ring, I'll give him that, and for those who don't know, it's silver. They ran some deep tests, I looked into it, full silver, and in fact the main body of the item is in an excellent state of preservation, relatively intact considering the age. They used to think that this was an amethyst, it's not, it's an actual form of lime glass, which was very popular, by the way, in the Norse area. Those Scandinavians that apparently were not Scandinavians, but anyways, they loved glass. It was considered something pretty that they loved. Ancient tales about Viking expeditions to Islamic countries had some elements of truth, according to recent analysis of a ring recovered from a 9th century Swedish grave. So already we can kind of disassemble this situation. What tales are they talking about? It's the sagas, because the sagas do talk about some Viking explorers that reached some areas, possibly even in the Black Sea. There is a possibility. No one is contesting this. And in fact, this article is not too bad, but the articles that push the nonsense, they always follow a pattern, and it's the following. They tell you a truth, they follow it by a half-truth, so now they gained your trust, and then they follow it with a lie. That was the intention all along, that they want to put in your head. They don't start with a lie, because otherwise you could easily recognize it. That's the method. Another thing that it's important, this was found in a grave, so it adds a whole new layer of interpretation that they completely disregarded, of course, which is that of funerary kits. So what do we usually find in funerary kits? What type of items? Does it indicate the status of the individual? Featuring a pink-violet colored stone with an inscription that reads, "For Allah," or "To Allah." The silver ring was found during the 1872-1895 excavation of grave fields at the Viking Age trading center of Birka, some 15.5 miles west of Stockholm. Now, you might think, but wait, Metatron, if this is a discovery from the late 19th century, why are they surfacing it now? Well, the real reason is just for politics. It's useful, and so they use it. But the other reason is that apparently they only recently managed to decipher the inscription. It was recovered from a rectangular wooden coffin, along with jewelry, brooches, and remains of clothes. Although the skeleton was completely decomposed, the objects indicated it was a female burial dating to about 850 AD. I appreciate that they are using Anno Domini Nostri Jesu Christi. Amen. Sorry, stronger than me after all the BCE CE that I have to hear him. Catalogued at the Swedish Museum History in Stockholm as a signet ring consisting of gilded silver set, they were wrong, it's only silver, with an amethyst, wrong again, inscribed with the word Allah in Arabic writing. It's the only ring with an... It's the only ring! Please remember this sentence when you go and look at the previous article that we read the other day that said that because of this, now we know that the Vikings were Muslim. The only ring with an Arabic inscription found in Scandinavia. It is the only one that has a clear indication of any affiliation with Islam, which I would like to remind the idiots that push the nonsense is a religion, not an ethnicity. You could be a Muslim and be anything, to be fair with you. So the whole other segment where they are like, oh, this grave or this thing demonstrates that the Vikings were Muslims, not white. It's a ridiculous statement because the two things are not mutually exclusive regardless. I can just tell you, spoiler alert, a bit spoiler if it even makes sense, 9th century, whatever. Spoiler alert, they either bought it or they stole it. There's nothing that indicates any conversion. Yeah, there we go. Open quotes. Most likely we will never know the exact meaning behind the inscription, find a little truth, or where and why it was done. Close quotes. The researchers wrote. Conveniently, this is never featured, never, in any of the copycats articles that are pushing the idea that the Vikings were not Scandinavians. We need to stop saying that they were white. We need to stop saying that they were not Muslims. They never mention this, which is the one thing that the reason... It's always like this. When you dig deep, you see, cherry-picked. It is all complete and utter speculation. You know what the reality is? Is that when the guy stole this ring, I'm imagining this Viking guy, he probably said, oh, thanks, Loki. I got a good ring for my wife, so she's gonna be happy when I'm home, because I promised it. For the present investigation, it is enough to note that its Arabic-Islamic nature clearly links the ring and the stone to the cultural sphere of the caliphate. Similarly to how the crosses, the silver and golden inlaid crosses that they stole from the Lindisfarne monastery, are clearly linked to Christendom and Christianity. It still doesn't make the Vikings that split the head of the monks by introducing them to the business end of their axes, doesn't make them Christian. Likewise, this recovery of this ring in the funerary context does not make those Scandinavian people less Scandinavian, and it does absolutely not make them Muslim. It's like the double standard is unbelievable. There are hundreds of Christian cups. There's so much stuff that was taken. Never have they ever said, well, you know what, maybe we should say that the early Vikings were already Christians, because look at all this stuff. They find one ring, the one ring, I'm going to say this in full screen, the one ring to rule them all. Never has this word have been more appropriate. This is what this is all about. And it must have passed from the Islamic silversmith who made it to the woman buried at Birka with few, if any, owners in between. I'm still gonna put the husband here. Call it my educated guess. Open quotes. Perhaps the woman herself was from the Islamic world, and that's the nonsense. Or perhaps a Swedish Viking got the ring by trade or robbery while visiting the Islamic Caliphate. My money is on the latter, just as a matter of deductive logic and on the application of Occam razor. Thank you. Dear noble ones, if you like this video and you would like me to continue to annihilate this absolute, complete, utter nonsense, regardless of any possible backlash, please consider getting one of my plushies. This way you can support me bashing these lying cretins into outer space. Thank you very much. Link in the description. Come on, do it now. You know you want me to continue. Come on. Show me the fiber of your fabric. Link in the description. Everything else, guys, this is it. Like, there is no, oh my gosh, and we found all of these things telling us that in this specific village they were actually creating a freaking mosque, or in this other situation we see that the same raiders connected to this period were saying, I hope that Allah protects us during this travel, and then we found nothing. Zero. This is it. Unbelievable.